A museum wall shows a sequence everyone recognizes: ape, hominid, modern human, each figure a little straighter than the last, until the line ends at us. A visitor traces it with a finger and stops on the last silhouette. Why does the chart stop there? That picture feels like science. It is not. The image most people call the March of Progress was drawn by Rudolph Zallinger for the 1965 Time Life book Early Man, where its actual title was The Road to Homo Sapiens. That flat ending line smuggled in a bigger assumption. Once humans went modern, evolution was over. That is the myth. Genetic evidence says otherwise. A 2007 genome-wide study found positive selection dated not to deep prehistory, but to roughly the last 40,000 years, most of that signal packed into the last 10,000, alongside the spread of agriculture and bigger human populations. The exact pace is debated. The recent change is not, which means the question is no longer whether human evolution continued. It did. The better question is what has been changing us, and what is changing us now. Start with something ordinary. A glass of milk. For most of human history, most adults lost the ability to digest lactose after infancy. Then, in some populations, that changed. Separate mutations near the lactase gene arose independently in European and East African pastoralist groups within roughly the last 3,000 to 10,000 years, letting the people who carried them keep digesting milk into adulthood. Not all humans, and not from one shared mutation. Several populations, under similar pressure, arriving at the same result. That matters because it is clean evidence. A cultural shift came first: dairying. Then, in some places, genes that fit that new way of life spread. The species did not arrive at a final form and settle down. Conditions changed, and bodies changed with them. Now, move from the farm to the mountains. A farmer in the Tibetan highlands works through the day at altitudes where a newcomer would be gasping for air within minutes. Part of that difference is tied to a variant of the EPAS1 gene, common in Tibetan populations, linked to more efficient oxygen use at high altitude. Genetic evidence strongly suggests that variant entered the Tibetan gene pool through interbreeding with Denisovans, an archaic human group, and then came under strong positive selection. Remarkable detail aside, the larger point is simpler. Human evolution did not stop when civilization began. It kept happening in villages, on herding routes, on mountain plateaus, recently enough that genetics can still read the fingerprints. Modern life did not end selection either. It changed the pressures. In 2016, a modeling study looked at a long-running trade-off in human birth. Infant head size on one side, maternal pelvis size on the other. The authors proposed a cliff edge dynamic where a meaningful share of births are complicated by a mismatch between fetal size and the birth canal, and suggested that modern obstetric care could be relaxing some of the selective pressure that once pushed against that mismatch. That does not prove hospitals are already remaking human anatomy. It does show the old logic is backward. Medicine does not place humans outside evolution. It becomes part of the environment evolution has to work with. And now there is something newer still. In November 2018, a researcher announced he had created the first gene-edited babies using CRISPR, an act widely condemned as unethical and illegal in the countries involved. Scientists and ethicists soon called for a global moratorium on heritable genome editing. Meanwhile, routine embryo screening during IVF, checking for known disease-linked variants, remained legal and distinct in many countries. The distinction matters. Screening selects among embryos that already exist. Editing rewrites the DNA itself. Natural selection is not a committee meeting. It has no plan. These technologies do. For the first time, the forces shaping future human heredity may include choices made on purpose. There is one more reason the old chart fails. Some of the fastest changes around us are not proof of genetic evolution at all. They are proof that culture can outrun it. Look at myopia. In East Asian cities, myopia among young people rose sharply over recent decades, from roughly 10 to 20% in the mid-20th century, to as high as 80 to 90% among urban young adults in places like China, Taiwan, and Singapore by the early 2010s. That rise is driven mainly by environment and behavior, especially more near work and less outdoor light exposure, not by genes changing that fast. Our surroundings shifted fast. Our biology did not keep pace. So the museum wall has the story backward. Humans were never the endpoint of the chart. We are a single frame in a film that keeps running, and the newest force editing that film is us. Go back to that visitor with a finger on the glass. The mistake was never drawing a line through the past. The mistake was thinking it ended where we happened to be standing. The line never stopped. You are standing in the middle of it.